What do Falcons do? We rise up. Welcome back to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general, the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, the Golden Hard Dog and a lifelong sports fan, coming back to you with Week 17 picks. We only have 2 more weeks of the NFL regular season left. I will do playoff picks as well when we get to that point. I was doing pretty well last year until we got to the Super Bowl, but I will go ahead and make my picks for this week. I went 10-6 last week. I'm 150-90 on the year so far. And again, we just have the 2 weeks left. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. I apologize for not making a Falcons fan reaction to the Indianapolis Colts win. Probably will talk about that a little bit in my weekend video leading into our game at the Chicago Bears. But just with the holidays, a little bit tougher to get that out. Just not having good, consistent internet and just not really being around any equipment that I can actually use. But again, thank you for tuning back in. Let's jump into picks. First off, I'm doing this live with you. We have the final Thursday night game of the year tonight. It's going to be an absolute banger. The Jets at the Browns. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a stinker. I mean, I could be surprised by this one with the Jets, as they have found ways to win games that I didn't think they would win over the last little bit of time here. But again, I don't have a lot of hope for this team. I don't have a lot of hope for this game. I don't think it's one that is going to be particularly good. I think ultimately Joe Flacco and the defense are going to show up, and that's going to be all she wrote. So with that in mind, I will pick the Cleveland Browns to go 11-5 and pretty much lock up at least a wild card spot. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing, or win their division. So I would say get a wild card spot. Then we go on to a Saturday matchup. This should be a very good matchup with the Detroit Lions going to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Detroit seems to have found their mojo again. Dallas Cowboys are playing like the Dallas Cowboys do at the end of the year, which means they fall apart. It is in Dallas, which means that I think it's going to be a very, very tough game for the Lions. And the Lions currently ahead of them in the divisional race in terms of potentially hosting a home game. This is definitely a matchup we could see again in the postseason. It could be at Jerry World. It could be in Detroit. For the morale, and because I think the Detroit Lions are overall better right now, I think they are playing better. I think they have found their mojo again. I am going to go with the Detroit Lions. I am in the minority there, but I do think Detroit can win this game. Then we're going to go to the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills, the first game of the Sunday slate, New Year's Eve. And we have the Buffalo Bills, who are playing really good football. They are probably the most dangerous team in the AFC right now, going up against the New England Patriots, who found a way somehow to win in the most improbable fashion in Denver this past week. I don't think it happens again, and I don't think it happens in Buffalo. You never know what the weather is going to be like. It's still a little bit early, but it's definitely going to be cold. I just don't know if there's going to be any surprise snow or anything like that. With that in mind, give me the Buffalo Bills here. Then we go to the Atlanta Falcons at the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears playing pretty decent football overall right now. Definitely not playing bad. They just had a trouncing of the Arizona Cardinals. Not that it should be difficult to trounce the Arizona Cardinals. Falcons, looking at you. But again, the Bears are playing pretty decent football overall. You had Khalil Herbert, who got his first touchdown of the year this past week. And then you have the Atlanta Falcons, who are coming off of their most complete game of the year. You are going to be playing in very cold weather. We already know that. I don't think it's supposed to snow, but it's still going to be in at the 30s or lower for this game, which is never good for a team that plays in a dome. But I do think that the Falcons on defense, if they show up like they did this past week, if they can just limit turnovers under Taylor Heineke, they probably can win this game, and I am not going to pick against the Falcons here. This is one that if we do have any shot at the playoffs, we have to win this game. Give me the Atlanta Falcons in a tough, low-scoring game over the Chicago Bears. Then we go to the Las Vegas Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. The Raiders coming out of nowhere and absolutely demolishing Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on Christmas Day or Christmas Day after, whatever it was. They just beat the ever-living crap out of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think we were all really surprised to see that. Max Crosby is amazing on defense, and they really showed up. The thing that I would say was surprising is they won the game. I don't think they completed a pass after the first quarter was the stat. It was something ridiculous like that for the Raiders. The Colts, coming off a tough loss to the Falcons in Atlanta. The Colts are playing for their playoff lives, but I do think the Raiders, with the momentum, are going to come in and they are going to find a way to beat Indianapolis, make them 8-8, and probably end their playoff hopes, but keep the Raiders' playoff hopes slightly alive. I think after this week, though, it's probably going to die. Then we go to the Los Angeles Rams at the New York Giants, and if it wasn't clear, I'm picking the Raiders. So if we're going to go back to the LA Rams at the New York Giants. This one has playoff implications for the Falcons, but I don't think it's going to go in our favor. We need the Rams to lose to have a shot at the wild card, and I don't think that's going to happen. You have Tyrod Taylor coming in to play for the New York Giants after they benched Tommy DeVito. I just don't think that they have enough firepower, even in New York. I think the only thing going for them is it's going to be cold weather. It's going to be outside. It's going to be in the Meadowlands, so you never know what happens with injuries there. It's one of the worst fields to play on, along with FedEx Field, just a few hours south in Washington. So I am going to pick the Rams because I think they are more talented. And again, very similar to the Bills. They are probably one of the most dangerous teams in the playoff hunt right now and going into January. So give me the Rams here. I don't love it. I certainly can find a scenario in my head where the New York Giants win this one. And again, for the Falcons' sake, we kind of need that to happen, but I just don't see it logistically or logically happening. Then we go to the Arizona Cardinals at the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't have a lot to say about this. So the Philadelphia Eagles are not playing great football. I could see the Arizona Cardinals finding a way to upset them, but it's in Philly. It's on New Year's. I just don't think in Philadelphia you can win that game. If it was in Arizona, I would give just a little bit of extra credence to the idea that Arizona can win this game, but it's going to be really tough no matter what. But I will say that I fully expect Philadelphia to run away with this game. But I could see a scenario, given how they played recently, where the Cardinals do find a way to sneak in a win like by 1 or 2 points here in Philadelphia. But give me the Eagles. I'm not going to sweat it, but I'm just going to say the Eagles. Then we have what needs to be this is hard for me to pick. I hate both of these teams. We have the Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if the Falcons have any hope at all of making the playoffs as the divisional winner, it has to be the Saints here. For that reason, for the fact that I worked in Mobile, Alabama for a couple of years and was surrounded by Saints fans down there, for the fact that I have Saints fan friends who I know are going to be cheering loud and hard to win this game because they also stay alive for the playoff hunt with a win here. And because Tampa Bay, I am sick and tired of this team winning the last few years in the division. They won with Tom Brady. They're winning without Tom Brady. They shouldn't have beat us, but they did find a way at the end of that game because of 2 Younghoe Koo missed field goals and some bad turnovers there, including a pick six. I am going to say the Saints will find it in themselves to win this game and have a shot against Atlanta to win the division. But give me the New Orleans Saints over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't love it, and America's going against me on that one. America has 80% saying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win. But I'm going to say the Saints. Then we go to the 49ers at the Washington Commies. Commies not playing good football. 49ers, tough loss. They got exposed against the Baltimore Ravens. I still think they're a very good team. I think it was a bad showing for them, and I think it's not living up to their potential. But I want to give full credit to Baltimore. Played a complete game against a very tough opponent and are looking like the Super Bowl favorites as of right now. So let me go with the 49ers here to probably, I think a win here might lock up the division. They might not. I'm not sure. It depends on how things go in the Dallas game. But I am going to pick the 49ers here to beat the Washington Commies. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Then we go to another 1 o'clock game. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are flailing here at the end of the season, going up against Carolina Panthers in Jacksonville. Again, Jacksonville didn't look good against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past week. I do think, though, that Carolina is going to lose this game and be 2-14 going into the final week of the season. And at that point, I hope that they go 3-14, beating the Tampa Bay next week. But this week, I don't think they get the win. I do think Jacksonville Jaguars find a way to pull it out. Calvin Ridley probably going to go nuts in this game. So give me the Jacksonville Jaguars here. But Jaguars definitely going to feel like a lost season at the end of this year, given all the hype that you had around you, all of the success that you built on from last year. Definitely feeling like a lost season for this team. But I do think they win this one and get to 9-7. Going into the final week of the season. Then we have the Miami Dolphins at the Baltimore Ravens, and this is the fracking game of the week. I don't know how this didn't get flexed into a later time, but it is a 1 o'clock game. 1 o'clock game. I'm going to be watching the Falcons. I'm not going to be watching this game, but you have the Baltimore Ravens at the Miami Dolphins. Miami getting a win this past week against the Cowboys. Not particularly a pretty win, but they did find a way to do it in the end of the game. Baltimore played a complete game against the San Francisco 49ers. It is in Baltimore. It's a cold weather game. I just have this sneaking feeling that Miami is going to find a way to win it, but I am going to pick the Baltimore Ravens because I think they look like the most complete team in football. I keep saying that every week about teams, particularly about the 49ers lately, but it's true. The Falcons looked like a complete team this past week. The Baltimore Ravens looked like a complete team this last week. Give me the Baltimore Ravens until proven otherwise. Then we're going to go to the Tennessee Titans at Houston, Texas, and this one has massive playoff implications as it is a divisional game, and it is one that if the Houston Texans win, I believe they will take the lead in the division over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I wouldn't swear to that, but I believe because of the way tiebreakers work that would happen. Tennessee Titans not playing particularly good football right now. I don't even know what happened with them last week. I did not pay attention at all to their game. I'm assuming they lost. Yeah, they lost to Seattle, but they did. Oh, it actually looks like Seattle had to rally to beat them. Okay, didn't realize that because I just really have not paid attention to their game. Them beating Seattle would have helped us, but it ended up not mattering. But Houston, I do think, is a better team. It just depends on who shows up. I know that Houston found a way, or if Houston got absolutely destroyed this past week against the Browns. It's a really tough time when you have to go up against the Browns. So they are the best defense in football. And then you had a absolute highlight day from Amari Cooper, a career day for him, and you didn't have C.J. Stroud playing for you. I do think that the Houston Texans will win this game regardless of who the quarterback is. I could certainly find a way in my heart to pick the Tennessee Titans here, though, just knowing that it's a divisional game. But being in Houston, seeing how good Houston has been, if C.J. Stroud comes out of concussion protocol and plays, I believe that they will win this game. And I think even with Davis Mills or Beathard, they would win this game as well. Then we go to the Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle, again, finding a way to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Against the Tennessee Titans this past week. Now you have the Steelers, who I believe played an incredible game with Mason Rudolph against the Bengals, absolutely shutting down their playoff hopes and stepping back into the playoff race here, and again giving Mike Tomlin 2 chances to have another winning season. He has never had a losing season, and because of that, I know this is in Seattle. Their defense, though, came alive this past week, and I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to find a way to win in Seattle, which does help the Falcons as well. It's not going to hurt our chances there for a wild card spot, but give me the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Seattle Seahawks. I do think Seattle is probably the better team, and I think they probably are going to win, but because I am a homer for the Falcons and because I want this to work out for the Falcons, give me the Steelers. Otherwise, it's going to be tough for us to even think about a wild card spot. Then we have the LA Chargers at the Denver Broncos, and Jarrett Stidham is officially going to be starting for the Broncos. I think that they really want to see what they have in Jarrett Stidham. They want to see if he is an answer to quarterback going forward, if he can run that offense as well or better than Russell Wilson has. And I want to be very clear, I feel bad for Russell Wilson. He has been pretty good this year, or at least back to somewhat of form this year after having a horrible 2022-2023 campaign. 23-24 looks much better, but it looks like he's probably going to be benched for the rest of the year. You have the Los Angeles Chargers, who still I don't think are going to have Justin Herbert back. Because it's in Denver, because their defense is playing really well, I am going to pick Denver. I think this one, right now America says 83% Denver. I think this is much more of a toss-up, but let me go with Denver Broncos. Then you have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Bengals in Kansas City. Kansas City coming off of an embarrassing loss, and they have not looked like a good team this year for the most part. They have not looked like the unbeatable juggernaut that they have been in the recent past. Defense is playing well for them, but the offense is sputtering. It looks like next year Ray Rice might be the guy, but right now they just, if you can take away Travis Kelce, which defenses are doing, they don't have much. Isaiah Pacheco came out of this game with a concussion. I think he didn't come back, but he had the first touchdown of the game. And the Cincinnati Bengals, I think, can win this game. You do have Jake Browning, who, again, they got pretty much destroyed this past week by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know why. There's something in me that says the Bengals are going to win this game, but I just can't, in good conscience, go against Patrick Mahomes going against a backup quarterback right now. I just can't do it. And I can't pick the Kansas City Chiefs to lose this many weeks in a row. So I am going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, I'm pretty sure they are out of the first seed divisional talk right now. So they are playing for their division. And here's the thing. If the Bengals win and the Broncos win, then we're talking about potentially a divisional run here. And then again, with the Raiders, there's a potential that the Kansas City Chiefs might not win that division, which would be absolutely insane. I think the chances of that are like virtually zero, but it's still a possibility right now. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs, and oh, how the mighty have fallen there. Then we go to Sunday night football. We don't have any more Monday night games. We have the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this is one that's interesting because the Falcons hold the tiebreaker over the Green Bay Packers for the wild card, but do not over Minnesota. But it actually, if you look at the way the race turns out, for some reason, if the Green Bay Packers win this game, the chances that we make the playoffs go down. It doesn't make sense to me. If the Vikings win, their chances go up. I do not understand that logic whatsoever, but I do know that we hold the tiebreaker over the Packers, and I think the Packers are a better team overall right now. They did have a very close game against the Carolina Panthers after dominating the first half, just basically not showing up for the second half. Jair Alexander will not be there. He is suspended because he basically did a boneheaded move, almost botching the coin toss for the Green Bay Packers, and he was not supposed to be out there for the coin toss to begin with. He is a Charlotte native, which is why he kind of snuck into that role, thinking that he had the support of the coaching staff and the team, but he was not an honorary captain and went out there and almost screwed up the entire thing. So give me the Green Bay Packers, though, even though they're going to be down Jair Alexander. I just don't think the quarterback play is going to be good enough from the Minnesota Vikings to win this game. I think that Jordan Love has shown he is the next guy in Green Bay, and I think that they show it here, going 8-8 with a chance to sneak into the postseason next week. But that's all I got for you. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you for the 205 of you who have chosen to follow me. Guys, it has been a really great year for picks. It's been a great year for this channel. I've grown from about 65 or 70 people at the beginning of this year up to 205 now. Again, I know it's small potatoes compared to every other YouTuber on the channel that is trying to make this into a living. I am not trying to make it into a living. I do this because I enjoy it, because it's fun, and because I love my Falcons. I love to talk about them. Thank you, everybody, for watching. For my Georgia Bulldogs, go Dogs. I hope you beat FSU. I hope that you prove that they were not a team deserving of being in the playoff, but at the same time, I feel bad for them. We should not be playing them in the Orange Bowl. They should have made the playoff. I firmly believe Alabama should not have been allowed to be the 4th seed for the playoffs this year. That's just my thoughts on it. I may make a video about that at the end of the college football season. But for now, that's all I got for you. Thank you for watching, and as always, rise up.